your life. There's something greater, something better.
I had a chance to speak with Emma a few days ago, and I told her glowingly I thought the movie was brilliant. It was raw and emotional, authentic, and I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people. I wanted to talk a little bit about your collaborations with Emma. I know you've worked with her on other projects, short films, things like that. What was it like to tackle a feature film together?
Yeah, so when we started thinking about directors and what type of person we were looking for to come in and help us make this film, it was very clear to us, I think, from the beginning, we wanted a female perspective. So we sort of started compiling a list, and of course, right away, I was like, "Well, guys, I know this really wonderful Dutch director that I've worked with a bunch, and she's my best friend, but I also think she's perfect for this." And so uh, people liked her right away, but also she had to pitch her perspective and her approach, like everyone else did. But she had the approach and the take on it that we all felt was best suited for the film, and so she got to do it, and I'm so happy because not only do I think her style and her tone adds a different layer to this film that I think is really interesting. But she also has an understanding and a personal connection to the subject matter. I think that is important for a director um, to add her own, take and her own experiences, and she was able to incorporate a lot of that back into the script and the writing. And so yeah, it was just a beautiful marriage of all these different elements, and on top of that, it was really wonderful to work with someone that I'm so close with, on top of also Clara and Ewan, who I've known for many years. So it was a really special, not just family environment, but also friends. And, it was a really tight-knit group. And that was really, I don't think we'll ever be able to do that again in our careers that way. So that was really special. Yeah.
That's really lovely. No, you used the term family, kind of atmosphere and experience, and I did want to touch on that. So obviously, Ewan and Clara McGregor are, kind of front and center of the story, not only as father and daughter on screen, but off screen. What was that like as a producer and as kind of an overseer to yeah to work with both of them and kind of playing off ideas with them?
I think it was, to have Ewan's blessing so early on in the development part of the film was obviously really important because this movie wouldn't exist without him or Clara. It was very much situated around their relationship. So having him not only be okay with it, but being enthusiastic about doing this was really important. And then so he was involved the whole way through, essentially, as was Clara, obviously, as a producer. So we kind of got to explore all the different angles with them early on and think what are things that we want to see and what are things that we want to not see, and sort of we got a couple of months to really explore not just that relationship, but also sort of their creative takes on everything. So it really is like everyone's involvement is beyond just the acting, and um, it was really a special thing to witness a real father and daughter working together in such a way too, because it's like as actors, you sort of have to have some sort of chemistry, right? You have to like
Right.
be able to convincingly do your part, but then being able to skip that part and just get right into like what actually matters with a real father and a daughter is what adds, I think, such a interesting and yeah, extra layer to this to these performances, and also the story that especially in an independent film when you have so little time to like
Mm.
execute something is really a great addition. And yeah, it was wonderful to see them work together every day, and like really such a special experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that played heavily into how authentic and raw the film
Yeah.
feels. I did want to ask, so you touched on there, people having multiple roles, and obviously you have a multiple role in this film
Yeah.
as on screen and off screen. I'm curious with that scene, I found it to be one of the film's kind of funnier scenes, but then
Yeah.
also it kind of culminates in one of the film's more beautiful moments. Was that the case that you were always going to play that character? Was the part written for you specifically, or I guess how did that come about?
Yeah, so when we were writing, we were sort of trying to figure out who these different characters were that they're meeting on the trip. And this was a character that we thought of very early on, and we felt it was an important turning point, and also, yeah, as you said, a character that reflects and shows different things that these two characters go through, sort of, and it's sort of a, yeah. So, but I really loved her right away, but I wasn't gonna be like, oh, that has to be me. I mean, it took a couple of weeks, I think, for us to all get there. Because I would have played any one of these people. I just wanted to be a part of it so badly. I would have played the tow truck driver if they would have let me, So it was more so a matter of what it, and again, I also wanted to bring our director into that and have her agree with the casting choices. And so it wasn't always clear, but I did very much love this character from the jump. Yeah.
I'm glad you advocated for that because I found your performance in that scene to be really, really beautiful, really
Oh,
touching.
thank you. Thanks for saying
Uh,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So you mentioned earlier, this being an independent film, and I believe you shot this film in under a month. And given that this is your first feature length film
Mhm.
that you've produced, I'm really curious if you have any advice for aspiring filmmakers who are maybe not in your position yet, who aspire similarly to make movies like this, independent films, if you have any advice or guidance for them.
That is a really good question. We, of course, got lucky and there's no way around this. We, of course, got so incredibly lucky that we had Ewan involved. And Ewan's this really the sole reason that this project got made. If it were anyone else, if it were just us guys making it, there's no way we would have had this film made. But my advice is, and this is something that I, as a maker, and my peers in this film have been doing for years, is to keep making work, even if it's for $0, and even if you have to call on your friends and your grandparents and your cousins and whatever you need to do, or GoFundMe pages, whatever it is, to keep making work and, you know, honing your skill, if you will, in your craft. And trying to, even if it's a short film, and I don't think it's realistic to try and set out to make a feature right away, but if you have a short film that is successful in whatever way and you can get it into a festival, that's sort of how you can then potentially get into a room where you can have a conversation about making a feature. And again, a feature is more so a puzzle piece than like having the best or the most interesting script or director involved. It's more like, how do we actually finance this thing? Do we need a star involved, or we need X, Y, and Z? So I think once you've established yourself as a filmmaker, you might have an opportunity where you can um, make a feature film at some, if you're lucky. And again, like it's a puzzle. So doing what you can is all that you can do, and that is making as much work and having a diverse portfolio, and that way you can get into different festivals. And I find that to be the most beneficial space, really, to meet the types of people that you do need to meet if you want to enter that conversation. Yeah.
Got it. No, I think a lot of people will connect with that advice,
Yeah,
and you're kind of getting at learning by doing, right? By creating, and that's the
totally.
best way to learn anything. I guess as a final question, if we just have one moment, so the film is obviously about substance use, but it is a lot more universally applicable than that. There's a lot of resonant themes about family and father-daughter dynamics and all sorts of things. What do you hope is the one thing audiences come away from after watching your movie?
I think you sort of hit it on its head by saying it's not just about addiction and about that sort of struggle. It's a universal story in that I think it will speak to many people, whether you have a relationship with your father or maybe you don't have a relationship with your father. And I think it does a good job in speaking to many different audiences. And I keep saying, like, our crew, so myself and Emma and also Clara, we're all European filmmakers who have moved to the US at some point. So I think that there's a lot of Europeanness still in there, as is a lot of our other crew was also from that part of the world. So I hope that it will speak to audiences there and also in other places that are not just the US. So I think there's something to be had for everyone in this film. You know, there's whether you connect with the addiction portion or the family portion or even friendship, like there's yeah, I hope and I feel like it is a universal tale for everyone. Yeah.